inertial rotational energy in the sun versus the 90% in the planets, and how they cannot be rotationally related to each other?
I can actually, and I can explain it because the barycenter of our solar system, the barycenter meaning the gravitational center of everything in the solar system, is actually outside of our star's surface. That's primarily due to Jupiter. So it's actually interesting that you brought that up. Jupiter is so massive compared to all the other planets in the solar system. It's about 2.5 times the mass of all of the other planets, that it actually
Which
makes our
brings up
sun.
another problem.
It makes our sun. Technically, it means that our sun and Jupiter rotate around each other, because our sun does indeed rotate around a barycenter. It's just a very, very, very narrow barycenter.
That noid point is still below the surface of the sun, though.
No, it isn't. It's above it.
Outside of the
No, it is outside of it.
Inside of the No, they don't pull on each other that much. That node point is still below the surface of the sun.
From the research I've done, I'm pretty sure the barycenter is just barely outside of the sun's surface. I'm not saying that it's like far outside of that. I'm not saying it's extremely far outside of it, but from what I've read, it is outside of our sun's surface.
I want to see that, because everything
I believe it was in
it's still.
I believe it was a National Geographic article about the Juno mission that mentioned that the barycenter was outside of the surface of our star. Now, I will say that's not a scientific paper. So as far as whether or not that's definitively true, I would have to look further into it. But I am pretty sure, off of what I've read, that, yeah, the barycenter is outside of our star's surface. Just barely.
Wow.
Like, we're talking about, like, 50 to 100,000 kilometers outside of its surface, which is minuscule when you talk about.
But that even makes the problem worse. How do you explain the outside surface? Okay, so like most of the other stars we see, the gas giants are on the inner rotational
hot Jupiters.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It's not that it doesn't make sense. There's a couple things about our solar system. There's a couple things about our solar system that does make it very unusual compared to other solar systems that we observe. One of those things, you're right, is the fact that we don't have a hot Jupiter close to our star. The other thing is that we don't seem to have any sort of super Earth, which is thought to be a planet in somewhere in between the mass of Earth and Neptune or Uranus, one of the smaller gas giants, that we've observed through measuring the pull on other stars that they should have planets the size of super Earths, about anywhere from 2 to 10 times the size of our planet. But they don't exist in our solar system. Or if it does, like some people still think that there is a super Earth called Planet 9, but if it does exist, it's so far outside of the rest of the solar system that we just haven't been able to discover it yet, which would make sense in my personal opinion, because we have disturbances in the resonance of Uranus and Neptune's orbit that currently cannot be explained except without the presence of some other sort of body existing outside of those two in the solar system. Whether that's a singular planet or if it's just something like the Kuiper Belt, I'm not sure of personally, but there is that problem that exists nonetheless. Now, my problem with just saying, oh, well, that means there's another planet, is that we've made that mistake before scientifically. We thought that a planet called Vulcan existed between Mercury and the Sun, because Mercury had problems in its orbit that we couldn't explain.
That you get away with it one time. You get away with it one time. You go, look, here's the math. Look, it should be right there. Oh, wow, look.
No, it's letters. It's letters. Get away from me. Get away from me. No. But yeah, I'm hesitant to just immediately say it's another planet, because that assumption's been made before and it's been proven false. And that's what I find interesting too, is that Hart has told me on a couple of occasions that he thinks that science is a religion. And if science was a religion, then we would still think that Vulcan exists today. We just would. Because a religion requires dogmatic beliefs that are unchanging regardless of the evidence that comes forward to supplant that. And overwhelming evidence ended up showing that the reason why Mercury has its protuberance in its orbit isn't because of another planetary body, it's because of relativistic forces.
See,
that
what
Einstein
you just
predicted.
described to me is ironic about evidences coming forward and then unchanging opinions, because I see how that directly applies to Darwinism. And it's just fascinating to me that that is the scale that you pointed out, which somehow does not apply to the extreme aspects of Darwinism.
What extreme aspects of Darwinism?
Well, for instance, like the fact that you believe we're related to a banana. That extreme.
We have a common ancestor with a banana. That doesn't mean that my great-great-great-great-great-grandpappy was a banana.
But doesn't it though? Like you guys have the same.
No,
ancestor.
it really doesn't. We share a common ancestor, but that common ancestor diverged between humans and bananas a very long time ago.
Which one of your cousins do you think it was that decided it would be more beneficial to be a banana?
Well, that is how evolution works, after all. You just decide one day, man, I'd really love some wings right about now, and you just sprout some wings. That's how the theory of evolution works.
Well, no, because you have to have billions and billions of years.
When did we get onto evolution anyway?
I don't know.
I know. Hold on. Why are you talking prekaryote versus eukaryote in the first place? I don't understand why. If you were going to make any kind of a direct correlation or even any kind of a contrast, it would be between the Y chromosome, right?
Oh, Claude left.
Oh, that's
I saw
unfortunate.
that.
As soon as Atheist AJ got in the comment section, Claude dipped.
Oh, how convenient, Claude.
I don't know. Do they not like each other?
AtheistJunior? Come on,
Such an incredibly
Junior.
Such an incredibly stupid question. What is the question that's incredibly stupid, AJ?
I'm pretty sure the
genuinely don't know.
I asked you he thinks is incredibly stupid, which is fair. I don't.
It would be interesting for him to come in.
He's referring to Gangster Ghost, I think, on asking what kind of cereal I'm eating.
I think you're right, Lupin. Hi, Lupin, by the way.
Very, very pressing, and just to answer everybody's anticipation, it's Reese's Pieces Puffs.
I think that's a salvation issue.
I don't know why you told us on like the main chat.
So let me just ask you,
I was
Lupin,
too lazy to switch channels.
Why Reese's cereal and not Oreo cereal? Let me just ask you that.
Well, you can't go wrong with peanut butter and chocolate and Oreos. Do they even have Oreos in Canada? Don't they call them something
We do.
weird?
No, we've got Oreos.
What about Reese's Pieces?
Yeah, we've got Reese's Pieces.
They call them Reese's Pieces?
So democracy is not the only thing you guys ripped off.
We just don't call them Reese's like those Southerners do in America.
Well, the appropriate
That is
way.
us, yeah. That's us. Reese's.
Oh no, it's Reese's. No, not Reese's.
What are you saying? Reese's?
Reese's Pieces.
It's Reese's.
It's not.
It's not Reese's though.
Clip that. Somebody's gonna clip this. I'm telling you right
I don't
now.
care anything about the satellites.
Shut it down, Steven. Shut it down.
The satellites that are on Saturn. Okay, it is definitely not Reese's. Nobody calls.
So you don't hold on. So you don't care about what God created? You don't care about His creation?
Satellites, did he?
No, he didn't create all the moons around Jupiter and Saturn and all that stuff.
That I agree with. And you know what? I like the exploration of, and that's one of the reasons I pointed out that I think it would have been more beneficial to use the camera, because I would love to get more pictures of stars. I would love to get more
Looks like
evidence.
AtheistJunior is going to come in.
Uh-oh. Steven, better batten down the hatches.
For what?
AtheistJunior is coming into SummerSlam, brother.
You know what? I've got this. I have all my side videos.
No, God!
I'm ready to.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
As long as he doesn't invoke Kent Hovind, I'm fine.
What are we talking about, Lupin? We've kind of been bouncing between like 3 different topics. at the
I've
moment.
been
We don't
trying
really
to
have a
dig into
direction.
I've been trying to get Aiden to admit that the planets don't actually come from the sun, and he's fighting me. He's fighting me.
Well, we know that that's
They
going
don't
to take
come from the sun. They're part of the
hours.
same stellar. They're part of the same stellar disk that the sun came from, but they didn't come from the sun, so to speak.
Are you talking
Like
about
the
You
sun
have to
is.
account for the change. You have
Are
to
you talking
account for the
about-
change in inertia between the planets and the sun.
Yeah, you don't think that couldn't have changed over a period of time? Like, why is Venus the only planet that rotates counterclockwise as opposed to all of the other planets that do? It's because at some point in the Venusian past, there either was a sufficient impact in it that it was able to change its rotational path, or it just simply didn't have as strong of a resonance to cause it to rotate in the first place, which is why it eventually ended up reversing. Like, these things, like fundamental
Conservation.
aspects. Go ahead.
Conservation of energy shall not be violated. If there's inertia coming from the sun, right, and this is all the same nebula, then the sun should be with the same rough inertia and rotational energy as all the planets combined. It should be it should be linear.
If they never collided with each other, yeah. If there wasn't a period in the solar system known as the late heavy bombardment, which is why the moon has all those craters that it does, and why moons like Callisto are so extremely heavily cratered, because there's no evidence of any internal exodermic activity such as hydrothermal vents or tectonic plates shifting it. The reason why we see these planets or these moons so heavily bombarded is because there was a point in the solar system called the late heavy bombardment.
Well, speaking of periods,
there's a problem with that too, though.
Can we let Lupin? Wait, Lupin is trying to.
In Canada, have they do they use periods or just commas and semicolons all the time?
Well, if you're me, you don't use periods. It's not a Canadian thing; it's an Aiden thing.
That's an Aiden thing. Okay, just.
So hey,
okay,
Lupin,
go ahead.
Lupin, serious question. If you're boating through the desert and you get a flat tire, what color crayon should you have in your pocket?
If you're boating?
Yeah, if you're boating through the desert and you get a flat
boat?
tire, what color of crayon should you have in your pocket?
Like you're on a boat in the desert?
Never mind, man. You're never gonna get it. It never mind. Anyway,
is it a joke?
Back to the topic at hand. No, it was. I'm pointing out that, like, bro, like, you just busted into a conversation with a completely pointless question. I'm trying to talk to Aiden, bro. It wasn't
pointless. Okay, that's fine. Continue on with your conversation.
It wasn't pointless. It was a dig at me. A dig at me is never pointless, Dustin.
I don't think it was a dig at you, but go ahead.
I'm joking. Don't worry.
It's okay. It's something about a plane crashing into an airplane, something of that matter. It's okay. That's all right. I've heard it before, been there before. You guys can continue.
I mean, a plane crashing into another plane, that should be impossible because if you do the mathematics, you should be able to find that there is a delay between the one plane and the other plane. So there should not be an occasion where they fly into each other.
Also, we must find the trajectory of which the vehicle, the four-wheel vehicle, takes off, and which color crayon is in your pocket.
You're going to be a mocker. Is that what you're going to do? You're going to be a mocker.
We must determine the color of the crayon because this has.
Oh my gosh! AtheistJunior's here. AtheistJunior's here.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I'm doing great. You know, I mean, the world's your oyster. I'm just living in it, right?
Exactly.
I know the answer to the joke. The answer is supposed to be pineapple. As for the color.
There you go. So, what question were you saying?
The answer is toaster because Pop-Tarts are afraid of microwaves.
Well, that seems to make sense.
I've heard a version of it that is slightly different. Whatever.
I think toaster strudels are far superior, though. But anyway,
boats don't have tires.
What were you saying was a stupid question, AtheistJunior?
I don't remember the exact question, but it was just something like which one of my ancestors decided to do
To evolve
to
into
be
the banana.
to have
instead
wings
of
or to be a
human.
banana, or which one of your ancestors deciding to do anything is just
Right, your cousins.
kind of flawed in the first place.
I agree, it's
That's
flawed to
Alabama
think that
thing.
you have any relation to a banana whatsoever, but you do believe that you have the common ancestor. So
You can't
I
really
think
say
the
that
common
I agree
question
that
you
it's
get about
flawed
your
and
common
then totally
ancestry would be a
change
common
what I
occurrence
said.
for you.
That's kind of not. That's like you can't
So
really
you-
say you agree with what I said.
So you any common fruit? So you're not just limited to a banana.
I think it's bananas and strawberries
I
are
forgot
cousins to them.
which one-
That's right.
no.
That's right.
I think you were related to a potato. I think that's what it was. So weren't you a tuber, essentially?
No, I'm not. I'm related to Adam. What, was someone else
No.
related to a potato?
Atheist Junior. I forgot which one he said he was related
Atheist
to.
Junior, are you
If
related to
you're
a
related to
potato,
your
a
sisters,
strawberry,
does that mean you
and
are
a
your
banana?
sister? Does that mean you're a girl?
I'm sorry. Say your answer. Say your question again.
If you're related to your sister, does that mean you're a girl?
No, we have different chromosomes.
Okay,
We
then why
have
would you
X,
say
Y,
if you're
and
related
Y-
to a potato, that means you're a tuber?
Okay. Would you prefer a different type of tuber type tube?
Does
I don't
being
even
related to
understand what you
something
mean
you
by
are
tuber.
that thing now?
What did you just blow a gasket, Lupin? What just happened there?
I couldn't think of another word for tube type. What is it? I mean, a potato is a tuber.
It's like one of those 50s cartoons where the car is just about to break down. It's like
Do potatoes
that's
have
his brain right now.
Do potatoes have genders?
What?
Do potatoes have genders?
Well, potatoes are plants, right? Vegetables.
No, they're tubers.
Dustin, chill out, buddy. Chill out. Deep breath. Deep breath.
This is one of my all-time most favorite conversations of all time.
Okay.
Deep breath, Dustin.
Do plants have genders? They
No,
do.
do potatoes? Potatoes aren't plants.
Well, I don't really know off the top of my head, but I know that plants have male and female genders. I know that. Like if you grow a marijuana plant, they have male and female genders, and there's a difference between them.
Well,
you know what?
There's other comparisons we can use besides marijuana plants, if you don't mind.
Well, plants like a
Hemp.
plant that has flowers. I don't actually know about potatoes, but
Cotton.
Seeds
Oh,
have
let's not
gender,
talk about
plants.
cotton. This isn't. Or I don't want to bring
Okay,
up cotton
you have-
again.
I
That
don't.
already.
have
We're
two
not going to
different
bring
kinds.
up Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so
Your seeds, okay? The seeds are what determine whether or not it's a male or female plant. Both plants have seeds, but the seeds are different. That's how you know.
yeah, tubers don't actually have genders.
they are gender neutral. So therefore, your question about my sister and the potatoes is a non sequitur question. Touche. Your point has been refuted. Good day, sir. You have been defeated.
I just thought it was remarkable
Well, I
that you
wasn't
got him
conflating the two
to
things.
openly admit that he's related to a potato, a strawberry, and a banana.
I mean, they're not really. It's not a very hard thing to get somebody that thinks evolution is a valid way of explaining the world to do.
I know.
It's not a
but
very difficult thing to
our
suss out.
perspective, it's just amazing to hear someone say
I mean,
out loud with words.
It's amazing for our perspective that a donkey talked, or
I know it
that
is.
somebody
I know
walked
it
on
is.
water,
Well,
or
that's what separates our two faiths is we have that faith to believe in the talking donkey, and you guys have that faith to believe you're related to a strawberry.
it's actually data. It's not faith.
Well, when you have flat earthers that are talking
What's
amongst
your
themselves
data?
and they're saying that if you were in a conversation with like two flat earthers and they ask you, so you think the earth is round, and you say yes, and they start like laughing amongst themselves, like that's what it feels like when I hear this like stuff about you think you're related to this. Like I know like it's very humorous to you, but it's like not.
It is though.
mean
It is
anything to me.
very
Yeah.
humorous to me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying to bring this sentence. I'm trying to bring this sentence to an actual sentence here. Let's try it again. If you have two flat earthers and they're laughing,
It's just
about
incredulity.
Yeah, if you're in a conversation with two flat earthers and one of them asks you, "Do you think the Earth is round?" and you say yes, and they start laughing at you, would you care?
No, not really.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, well, that's how I feel when you say you think you're related to. You think animals have common ancestry with humans? Like okay, yeah, it's funny to you, but I don't care. It's
Well,
But
not
what's
you,
like,
interesting is when
you believe it though.
When flat earthers laugh amongst themselves at me, I don't have to give an analogy about how it doesn't affect me. It just doesn't affect me, so I
So,
move on.
Atheist Junior, you are
Okay.
aware that genes don't have ancestry, right?
genes.
You're aware of that. Yeah.
Genes don't have ancestry.
Yes, you
What
are
do you
aware of
mean
this,
by that?
correct?
I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm
It
aware. That's
means
an odd statement.
that's a factual statement. It means that how do you prove that we're related to anything when genes themselves have no ancestry?
Because you can compare nucleotide sequences of different organisms and see the amount of commonality between the two sequences of base pairs.
Yeah, you can compare how many base pairs you have in common with another species, and funnily enough, the further and further we get away.
Okay, you kind of cut out. So let me ask a question real quick.
It's like
Les,
there's
did
a
he cut out for you
correlation
guys?
between these things.
Did he cut out for you guys too?
Yeah, he definitely.
Yeah, I missed
Can you
like
hear
the
me?
middle part of that.
Okay,
No,
hold on,
we
Abe.
heard like the first part of it.
Where did I
Abe,
cut off?
Near
Something
the
about
beginning of that statement.
going back, something. But let me ask this: How
Are you
far
going to
back do you
change the subject entirely?
how far back do you have to go to get to
The common
some
ancestor.
type of either a potato or a strawberry? How far back in your genealogy do you go to get to a non-human type what we would
Oh, if you're
call
talking about any kind
species?
of non-human type species, like I would say that the earliest species that we would definitively have in common would be the Australopithecus or Homo erectus, probably Australopithecus. And that existed up until about 200,000 years ago, I believe. 250,000 years ago is
Which
when it
that was a
ceased to
monkey.
exist.
That was a type of monkey, right?
Right. That's an ape.
So, you think just because I mean it's died off, it's gone, right? We haven't found them anymore,
The
right?
species no
Well,
longer
some
exists.
creationists
Yes.
think that there are still Lucy type Australopithecines living in like somewhere in the Middle East. So you'd have to ask some of your
Or the Congo. That's another really popular one. Yeah, the Congo man was a really
Lucy
frequent.
Lucy's already been disproven to be a hoax, so why would you even bring Lucy up?
Well, I was just saying
Oh.
Australopithecines, but they don't. Creationists don't really seem to understand the difference between a single member of a species and the species as a whole
That
population.
just must mean the entire species is fake, though, Atheist
They're all named
Junior. I
Lucy.
mean, come on.
Yeah, they're all named
Exactly.
Lucy.
They're all the exact same.
They're all
No, we
female.
could probably agree that there's somewhat of a species out of all these bones you guys compiled. What we disagree with is
What?
that we're related to them.
Yeah.
I mean, you can fit the entirety of evidence
No.
for the Australopithecine, whatever, in the trunk inside of a trunk of a car.
Do you want to try again on pronouncing that?
I cannot
Take two.
pronounce those words.
Take two.
I'm not gonna. I don't like dog meat
Australopithecine.
for that anyway. So I should not be mean. But
Was that good enough? Was that
I just
good
want to
enough?
say,
Australopithecine.
I just wanted to say really quick. I will be returning. Hello.
Are
It's
you
a mon-
serious?
It's a
Get
monkey.
your baboon
Who
butt off
put
of the
their
screen.
grandmother on the screen? That was
Oh, sorry. I was about to say. According to Steven.
Attacks, guys.
According to Steven, I was about to say, where'd my granddaddy come from? I don't know who put my granddaddy up on the screen. I'm an evolutionist, so I think my granddaddy was a chimp.
I never said that was
have-
your granddaddy. Darwin said that's your granddaddy. I say
No,
that
he
was
doesn't.
your
Grandfather
granddaddy,
Rock,
but
though.
you guys don't want to identify with Adam. You want to identify with Lucy's whatever.
You want to
cousin.
identify with the random bit of clay that made Adam?
What happened
Well,
to Grandpa
no,
Rock?
the
though? I
clay
thought
was
Grandpa
made
Rock-
into Adam. The
And
clay
our-
Yeah,
was
so
made into
Adam has a
bodies-
common ancestry with clay.
Our
Yeah,
bodies,
yeah, and
our
we will
bodies
return to
contain
the
the
dust of the
minerals.
earth. You're right.
That was Haggard.
My
That was
Okay.
Haggard. What are you doing?
We
great grandfather was a human. That's all. That's
I
all.
thought my grandpa was
That
a
many
rock.
greats, you're actually correct.
Yeah, that's
yes,
what it
but
is.
if you look at it from the biblical perspective, you're a couple more greats over. Your granddaddy was a lump of clay, so.
So when
That's
you do your
true.
23andMe and it comes back and it's just gonna be like what 99.9% human and 0.01% rock.
I could actually show you my 23andMe if you want to see that there's no rock in it.
Let me guess your 23andMe. 23andMe. It's gonna be 73% European and probably 30% African and 1% miscellaneous.
No, 1% Hebrew or Jewish. Everyone has a 1% Hebrew or Jewish in their
and
23andMe.
0.1% space rock. Is that close?
Well, the European ancestry part is fairly close, but you totally missed the amount of Italian ancestry I have.
Oh, okay.
No, there's no rock in there. There's no space rock because that's not like an ancestry. Or
Throw that test out.
I thought from Darwinism, the whole concept originates from like some kind of radioactive soup boiling on top of rocks.
What? No, the Miller-Urey experiment. That's not from Darwin at all. First and foremost,
why did you put the rock in for that experiment?
Primordial soup.
No, the primordial.
the primordial
soup has been
soup-
around for.
it came like a century after Darwin, the primordial soup theories. So I don't know why you're inherently associating with Darwin and Darwinism, because Darwinism.
Do you believe
no,
that theory?
I don't think that the primordial soup explains life. It explains at the very best how complex proteins and RNA compounds can form abiotically. That doesn't get to DNA.
Aiden,
So there is a gap.
Aiden, why do you deny it? All right. So it wasn't even Darwin. It all goes back to Egypt, and it goes
Yes.
back to Aristotle, and it was soup.
Absolutely.
It was
What
soup.
goes back?
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
bacterial soup.
No, but to say that is the exact same as modern primordial soup theory is a little bit
Well,
silly. That's just
give
taking
me
a
break
linguistic.
with that.
That's taking a linguistic
climb off
similarity. That is such
Climb
a
off of
myopic
that
position.
high
No, that's
horse.
such a myopic position to
What-
take. This
what do you
sounds
wanna
similar to
call it?
this.
Oh.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
No!
We need a bell like a ding ding ding. whenever,
Right,
like-
we can only
Look,
hear one person.
Steven,
at
you
a
should
time,
buy a
please.
gavel. You should
Okay.
buy a gavel, Steven.
How
So
many
let's-
things? Look, Aiden, hold on. Aiden, how many things from legend, from history, need to be proven, verified, and therefore driven completely different experiments from before you acknowledge that there is some sort of scientific background in the past that ancient man was a lot smarter than you're giving them credit for?
174,816.
Yeah. Did they have a MacBook back then? No.
We have a
Checkmate.
They
long
didn't
way
need
to
a
go with
MacBook, they
Aiden.
had paper.
Yeah, you could do a lot more on a
Atheist.
MacBook. I mean, I don't think you can visit.
Wait a minute. Just because we need a
That's
cheat device like a MacBook to be intelligent doesn't mean that they didn't have a superior intelligence. I think that's a flaw.
You point to a crutch. You
Do they
point to
have-
a crutch and you
Right.
pretend like that adds some kind of IQ points to
I
you.
have a
It
rescue
doesn't.
device, and because I have a
Here's a
rescue
crutch.
device, I'm smarter than other people.
Absolutely. Every single computer. And,
I mean,
and,
yeah, you were
what-
smarter. You're
whatchamacallit.
smarter. You're smart enough to invest in a rescue device, and other people didn't.
Now,
So that
the
does
only
prove
part-
that you are
the
in
only-
fact
the
smarter
only
than most
part
other
of
people.
intelligence device there is that you knew you needed something to make you as smart as previous people.
No, I was just joking.
Ironically-
I wasn't being
Ironically,
serious.
the logo for the MacBook is a bite from the apple from Adam and Eve, and also, if
The
I'm not,
forbidden knowledge.
the apple that only came into popular conception a few hundred years ago. I'm pretty sure it was a fig for the vast majority of our understanding of the Garden of
there's
Eden.
we don't know.
He's got you there.
They had to change it.
It was. It was.
I mean,
a joke. It
I
was a
personally-
joke.
I know it was a joke. I know it was a joke. Don't worry.
I personally
Um,
think it was a
Not
pomegranate.
based on.
I will be right back. I need
What
to
do
get
you-
on my computer because my phone's about to die, so I'm gonna rejoin in just a
You
second.
honestly think
To
that
be
that's
honest
not?
with you, Aiden, whatever you're joining from now, there's no feedback. And typically, when you've been joining shows lately, there's some kind of bad feedback.
Well, I'll try, and if it doesn't work, then I'll try to rig up my phone in a certain way.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Let me. Are you really trying to defend the point that the Apple logo is not that?
Who, me?
It's not based on the biblical story.
Yeah, it is. It is though.
Well, I mean,
I mean, it's a
that's what I
perversion,
thought. I asked
Lupin, but
somebody that the
yeah.
other day, and they told me that, and I mean, they seemed pretty trustworthy, so I'm going to go with that answer. I mean, I tend to
Well-
believe whatever I'm told immediately, so I'm, you know.
Well, if it was another apple like the apple of gravity, it wouldn't be beaten.
It was
This-
Isaac Newton.
Yeah, this
Apple.
one,
I'm pretty
this
sure
one
that
is
that's not something that
this one
actually
is
happened. It's more of
beaten.
an
So
allegory.
if you wanna like avoid the obviousness, you can go ahead. But when somebody's creating a logo, is showing in the logo what that logo is, and it is plain and simple that it is the beaten apple.
Guys, maybe it's the apple from the Snow White encounter. Wink, wink.
That
Yeah,
could
nothing
be
to
an
see here.
alternative. That
Nothing
could
to see
be
here, guys.
an
Let me
alternative.
see. Let me show you guys something too here. Hold on 1 second. You guys can continue talking.
The
You
apple
know,
is
they
a
don't
reference to
call
Alan
it the Big
Turing.
Apple. They don't call it the Big Apple in New York for no reason.
Okay. So yeah, you guys, I think we're talking about the Statue of Liberty the other day. Anyway, about it being the Statue of Liberty is really
It's a liberal hoax.
no, it's
Doesn't exist.
The Statue of Liberty does not exist. I'm telling you now.
No, I looked it up the other
Oh.
day. We have a Statue of Liberty that France gave us, and then in like 1989, we sent them one back as a gift. And then there
And it
are
was, like, tiny,
smaller
wasn't it?
versions.
Yeah,
I
it
don't-
was-
No, I think there's two that are the size of the one in our harbor.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna
it's,
say
really Apollo. I think it is Apollo. Heart of Flesh could probably confirm. I'm getting.
Yeah, they
I'm
wouldn't
getting
shout that out, but yeah, that's who it is.
I'm getting.
if it was Apollo, wouldn't it be a man?
No,
It is like some form of trance if you look at the
That's-
face, but
It is a very masculine woman. I have to
Yeah.
say, like, I wouldn't
And
want to
that's
fight
not
that
a
woman
dress.
in a bar.
if you want,
Well,
That's
because
a
I
toga.
am
Wait, the
because
first Apple
I am
computers were
busy.
$666. That's
Wait.
satanic conspiracy.
Wait, Mr. Atheist, one
Sorry.
at a time. If you can, Lupin, just Google the Colossus of Rhodes, and if people don't see the resemblance, it's their problem.
It's,
hold
it's
on.
because
Wait-
they took
wait a
direct
minute.
inspiration from the
Yeah.
Colossus of Rhodes.
Dustin might make fun of me, but I'll do it. Colossus of Rhodes. How do you spell Rhodes? ROADS.
RH.
RHODES.
RHODS.
Oh, so it's not roads like a road
Like-
you travel down?
No, RHOEDS.
What am I looking for? Am I looking
Thank
for
you,
an
Aiden.
image?
Don't worry, Achilles. I try to study the ancient world. But my point is that the Colossus of Rhodes was directly what the Statue of Liberty took inspiration from, because it was an extremely famous monument that stood in the harbor of Rhodes for many, many centuries. So yeah, I know that they take direct inspiration, but that doesn't mean that there's some nefarious influence behind it just because they're giving homage to the past.
Yeah,
Did
no.
somebody say the Statue of Liberty was trans? Did somebody say that?
Yes.
Let me
You
respond
checked?
to Aiden.
The
let you
symbol of
know-
America is trans. That's pretty funny.
That's pretty base.
It's
Right?
it's based.
That's
off
not the
pagan-
symbol of America. It's not in
based off
America. It's in the
paganism.
harbor.
The symbol
That's
of
still in
America is the
America.
Whopper.
I don't
So wait,
know
wait,
it's
Dustin,
the symbol of America. I
Dustin,
think I
Dustin.
think the eagle is the symbol of America.
No, it's
Let
the
me
home
get
of the
this
Whopper.
straight, Dustin. By your logic, if the Statue of Liberty isn't in America, I can just pull up with a warship and just take over Liberty Island, and the United States will just be like, "Oh, that's fine." Oh, whatever. He's just got a new country.
Hey,
Not
as
like
a southerner,
I get
as
it,
a
Grand Theft Auto
southerner,
You
Four.
do.
as a southerner, you could take over all of New York, and I won't say anything about it. Okay.
Well, I
You
think
own
we
a
might
rebel
have
In all
slightly different
fairness,
No,
policies.
on a
what
rebel
In
we're
all
doing.
in all
Let's go
fairness,
with
a
you.
group of retards took over like 6 city blocks here in Seattle. So I mean, you make that what you want of
Edge.
it. But the
Oh.
reality is, Ellis Island is not a part of America. Ellis Island is owned by
Oh,
America.
part of
There's a
flesh.
subtle
Part of
difference.
got
flesh.
real butthurt by my comment. Are you a Yankee by chance?
I definitely support the Yanks in the Civil War. I
No,
think
not
that,
you, Aiden. Atheist.
Oh,
I live in Texas, but I mean, I'm
Are
not
you a
a
native
like,
tech? Well, that could make sense too. You
What
guys
part
are
of
your
Texas?
own planet.
I
Hey,
live
man,
in
I'll-
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
No,
Okay.
I was in
Houston.
shirts for a year.
I
Oh,
mean,
really?
Sol Invictus, Heart of Flesh came after the Colossus of Rhodes, though, right? Because Sol Invictus was a Roman
Pagan deity.
religious sub-institution, primarily spread by Aurelian. I'm trying to take this serious. I'm really trying to keep things together.
Guys, we're trying to
And-
make a peace offering here. But
Well,
we
you know,
believe you
I can't
guys-
tell monkeys what to do. They just come on their own.
I am just surrounded by mockers. That is all these people are. They just here to mock me. It is okay.
Is that an
It is
Otangelo
fine.
accent?
Oh, come on, Dustin. Don't leave now. You destroyed my layout.
No,
I'm
not
a monkey
really.
now. I have become monkey.
You are finally close to your
My
ancestry.
final form.
Wait,
So-
Atheist, while you're there, can you pick some lice off of his back? Like help a brother out?
I don't know. I mean, I think they can do that with each other. I'm not going to get involved.
I deleted the
Wow,
overlay.
you're not
But
going
it's
to
offensive.
help
Yeah.
you're not going to help your fellow
It's offensive. I'm gonna bring this up to the rest of the monkey tribe.
hominidae.
I'm
I
bringing
mean,
this up to the
I've been
rest
to
of the
Las
monkey
Vegas
tribe.
before, and I don't want to get a lice again. So, just saying.
Have you guys seen the experiment we did on by we I don't mean this channel on monkeys and their memory, how it works way stronger than our memory. Like we can't even compare our little finger to the memory that monkeys have. Have you seen that experiment?
I think I kind of vaguely know what you're talking about. You're talking about their long-term pattern recognition, are you not?
No, I will look it up.
I've seen something like that with elephants, but not with monkeys. Although,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised actually in the slightest, because hunter-gathering societies have been known to have people that have absolutely vast stores of information as far as oral histories are concerned, as far as different methods of their survival is concerned. And that's because in a society where you don't have the ability to write, you're really not allowed to be lazy with it. I mean, let's face it, writing is just a tool of convenience for us. It's just a means that we can
You were so
easily have
close.
access to information.
You were so
yeah,
you were
I don't
so
really know
close
how
to
you can
using the
compare the
period
memory
right
though, 'cause
there.
monkeys don't even have a sense of self the way humans do. So, kind of,
That is amen.
Yeah, but
amen to
still,
that.
if we evolved from
How do you
them,
know? How do you know this?
we
How do you
are-
know this, Atheist Junior? That's an interesting observation.
because of how they react when you show them mirrors. There are some animals that if you put a mark on their face and you show them a mirror, they'll actually try to remove it. But some animals don't because they can't. That's why I think animals like monkeys don't have empathy in the same way that humans would, because like they can't recognize the fact that there's an animal, that there's a difference between them and a different animal. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but
They don't recognize third-person conception.
yeah.
But I'm sure that we've had examples of we see examples of monkeys having remorse and emotions whenever they see
Sure.
like one of them die. So
Yeah, they'll have like sort of
In captivity, you
hero.
see this,
no, in
but
the
you
wild,
wouldn't
I
see
believe
this if, say, like,
they've seen it in the
no,
wild.
you wouldn't see it. Say, like, if there was not the same. It's not the same. Like you're making a comparison that's no. The compassion
Dustin.
between
Dustin, when an elephant dies, all the other elephants keep going back 1 year later and
The
then another
graveyard.
year later at the graveyard of the elephant. They all
That's an
gather up.
elephant. We're talking monkeys.
Well, okay, but he said that there are animals that exhibit emotional behaviors, and you said only in captivity. So no, it's not only in captivity. And the example I brought, yes,
Monkeys.
it was
Monkeys. When you're dealing with monkeys, there's a hierarchy, and usually that comes with peer pressure. All right, it's not a good thing for a monkey to show emotion because they're going to end up getting picked on.
I think in the
well,
I think in
I've seen a lot of emotion from monkeys.
and
Although
dogs, I think dogs can have those too. I think it's
yeah,
obvious.
yeah. I mean, in documentaries of Discovery Channel, you can see that they have emotions. They have anger. They it doesn't always have to do with superiority. There are monkeys who just are just angry compared to others. So
Go to the one with
anyway,
the orangutan with the saw. That's a good video.
which one? The saw. Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah. I think it was like at the end screen of the last one. Like
I think the
This
point
one.
that the point that you made earlier, Achilles, about
Hey,
Guys,
Aiden, we have to.
I-
Aiden, we have to time you, Aiden. We have to time you a little bit.
Guys,
you can
I
continue on.
stopped the video because I fell in a trap of playing that, and it's from BBC. And
Yeah, BBC is probably going to copyright you.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
from BBC.
I'm sorry. Maybe we'll get the whole video
now they
down
can
at the
delete
end.
the video. Now they have an excuse to delete the stream.
No, not for
I'm joking.
no. But
I'm
anyway,
joking.
this is how the system works. So if yeah, I think it should be copyrighted, and we are now beeped.
I'd like to respond to this common designer thing. I just don't want to overtalk somebody. So
Well, real quick, I'll let you speak. Hold your thought, please. Just to the copyright thing, we were talking over it, so it didn't pick up the audio. So
Hopefully.
we may be
Hopefully.
okay.
Yeah,
it
we
may
may be
be okay. And we didn't play too much of it, and we didn't play it like full screen, also. So it may be okay. All right, go ahead about the common designer arguments versus.
Okay,
So let me posit to you this. Do you have
Go ahead. Hold on. Let me say something.
Do you have a thing with? Do you have a? Is your argument between common ancestry and common design or common designer or designer?
yeah, I would think so. Although I take issue with that framing of it too, because I feel like when you say like we like these we can prove common ancestry with this, and then the response is that, well, no, this is proof of a common designer. But I feel like in order to jump to that, I would have to grant the idea that like a God exists in the first place, and that
Yes.
and then you just say common designer, but you're not talking specifically about like a Christian God that like is, because like
I
when you talk
am.
about
Whenever I say I am. Whenever I say God, I'm talking about the
Lupin, don't
Judeo-Christian
interrupt
God.
him, man. Let him finish what he's saying.
You jump to that without proving it, though. That's the problem. Like you just sort of assume that
Atheist
your
Junior,
God.
Atheist
That's the problem
Junior, don't bring 20 subjects in one statement, because nobody knows which one to address first. Let's just
What are you
say
talking about?
Let
you'll see
him
from
explain,
my
Aiden.
you'll see from the answer. Let's just say that the problem here is not which God it is. We'll leave that for another argument, another day. Let's just say, did somebody create the world, or did the world create itself? If you have a third alternative, please share it with me.
How does? But it's a nonsensical question of how can a world create itself? It would be the forces
according to evolution,
ruled by the laws
Big
of
Bang,
physics.
it created
that's not how
itself.
planets are formed, though, by evolution. Unless you want to talk about like stellar evolution.
Repeat that, please. Sorry, repeat it. What is it? It is what?
You don't. Evolution is not how planets are formed, though.
Oh, you're wrong.
A planet can't form itself. It's formed from different things happening in space that are governed by the laws of physics. The planet doesn't form itself because that's like something forming itself, but it wouldn't have to exist before that to form itself. Like it just seems like a nonsensical question to me. Like,
well, okay, I will make it more clear to you. In order to make it to the point of evolution, there has to be different kinds of evolution before, and these are Big Bang, cosmic evolution. From Big Bang, you have element evolution. There are another 4, and I don't. My mind doesn't work right now. But then we get the planet, and then the planet starts forming from a rock, slowly becoming animals and stuff like that. So the whole thing is a fallacy from the beginning to the end. So that's why I call the whole thing evolution, because you have 2 separate theories. If you have a third one, give it to me. But the ones that I see is A, somebody created this, B, it created itself. Go ahead.
Okay, so my understanding of this is just that you're saying either my version of God created the universe and then planets, and on those planets that there was life, or what I would say is that you had Big Bang, you had an expanding universe, and then one that cooled down, and then you had stars forming, one of them being our sun, and then you have a solar nebula to form a star, and it's going to collapse under its own gravity and spin faster and faster and flatten out into like a disc shape, and it's going to kick out a lot of material like gas and dust and all over the solar system, and some of that gas and dust, because of gravity, is going to get drawn together and form a planet, which you can call planet Earth. But that's not the planet Earth forming itself, though. That's processes that are happening in space that are governed by the laws of physics. I just don't like the wording of that question.
I'm talking about all the things that you mentioned, which are assumptions, because we've never seen any star form.
I wouldn't like it either.
Is direct observation the only form of evidence?
Hold on
we
a second.
see them exploding.
Let me ask a question.
We see many
the only form of evidence.
we see many supernovas, Aiden. Many.
Let me ask you.
To echo what AtheistJunior said, I wouldn't like my theory either if it was all based on assumption.
Can I ask a question, please? So, AtheistJunior, if a nebula of mass and gravity started pulling together a bunch of other mass and gravity, why do we find heavier elements on the surface of the Earth when all the heavier elements would have sunk into the source of gravity?
What do you mean? Because you're talking about heavy elements that we find today. I'm talking about the planetesimal forming, like when the
formation of the planet, right?
Yeah.
So if
those
the formation of the planet is governed by gravity, hold on. If the formation of the planet is governed by gravity, then the heavier and more massive material would find its way to the center. Why do we find heavy elements on the surface? If, number one, the Earth was formed in a nebula, and number two, if it was ever in molten form? It's a simple question.
Because all of those elements didn't exist yet. They take time to form.
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. You don't. That doesn't make any sense.
Can I take?
Why not?
No, because
I gotta feed one more dog. So I'm AFKing again. I'll be back.
All right.
Bye, Achilles.
Elements have half-lives of billions of years.
What element?
Please.
What element?
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Which one?
Uranium.
Uranium is not elements. That's one element, and that's an unstable element, and it's an element that does not fit the definition of element because it breaks down over time. It is irreducible.
What?
And
Did you say
elements are irreducible?
Did you say my example was wrong because uranium is not?
Are you going to answer the question or no? Are you going to answer the question or no? Why do we find heavy elements? No, you didn't. You didn't answer anything. You put some
on the Earth that are here today take time to form, and they weren't there when the Earth.
That doesn't make any sense.
Is that why does that
gold has always been gold?
Not a simple concept that
gold has always been gold.
And they don't just exist.
Gold has always been gold.
Wait a minute, Aiden, did you just say you agree with Dustin on this?
I do. As far as like, there's specific examples of elements that AtheistJunior is right. There are elements that have half-lives, like uranium and plutonium and einsteinium, and these sorts of elements. Yeah, you're right. Higher up on the periodic table, there comes a point where the stability of the electron fields within those particles are not able to sustain themselves over long periods of time. But that isn't to say at the same time that there aren't specific isotopes of elements that do indeed have half-lives. That's why carbon-14 is used as a form of dating, because carbon-14 and carbon-12, which is the more common form of carbon, are different from each other, because carbon-14 does not have, although it has an even number of protons, they're not able to distribute themselves as evenly as carbon-12 can. So it has a half-life, whereas carbon-12 does not seem to have a half-life. So it's a bit more of a muddy picture than what I feel either sides are presenting. But you've also got to keep in mind, Dustin, we have a moon that orbits us that is much larger in comparison to our planet than any other planet we see in our solar system. The reason for which is commonly postulated because a planetary body known as Theia, some 3 billion years ago, collided with the Earth and formed our moon. And that would have led to an incredible amount of elemental mixing between those two different bodies and would have allowed elements to unevenly distribute themselves, which is why we find elements like uranium or tin are concentrated in certain parts of the planet rather than evenly spread out and evenly distributed.
Dustin, is that what Dustin? Dustin, is that what you were trying to say?
I'm laughing so hard right now. No, that doesn't make any sense. You can't. You have no proof that those collisions even actually ever happen. Number one, no.
The Earth
that,
and the
that
Moon
doesn't.
have an extremely similar makeup to each other when you look at the
No, they
internals of the Earth and
don't.
the Moon.
They
Yes,
have
they do.
absolute. They have nowhere close. They have nowhere close the same amount of iron. There's still helium on the moon. That doesn't make any sense.
No,
You're
there's
not
helium
making
on the
any
surface.
sense.
There's helium on the surface of the moon, but there's also helium on Earth as well. Like, what are you talking about? There's helium on Earth, which is why we have access to helium.
If that was the case, how long does it take for helium to bleed off?
In open air, not very long at all, but most
How
of the
many
helium
times
we
can
get
you make
is not
it
open to the air.
How many times can you say
Dude.
funny things with the helium from the moon, Aiden?
It's
Listen,
helium-3,
look, no,
so I would actually say
Stop
you could
changing the
probably say
subject.
funny things for even longer because helium-3 is more dense than conventional helium. So
Look,
The astronauts
we-
took
we-
helium-filled
whoa,
balloons.
We need to invade the moon. and
before
take
Dustin
their helium.
explodes,
Go
let's
ahead,
get back on
Dustin.
topic.
Took helium
Dustin,
balloons
Can I
to the
say
moon.
something?
Dustin, go ahead.
Look, I was on something. I was on a fact. Come on, hold on a second. We have a serious issue here, okay? You're telling me that a nebula formed the planet, right? Where the elements were somehow mixed up by both helium not being able to be released. I mean, dear God, dude. Never
What are you
mind.
talking about?
I never
There's
freaking
caverns.
mind.
There's caverns that we've found in the Earth with high concentrations of helium within their air.
So you have gas that hasn't released, and you have elements that are on the surface that should have sunken down by gravity.
Not
Neither one of
necessarily.
these things.
That's why there are some that
Oh,
are
dear
closer to
God.
the Earth's core.
Carbon is a relatively light element. You would agree, right, Dustin?
Yeah, but it's not helium.
No,
Or
I agree.
hydrogen, for
I
that
agree.
matter,
I agree fully. But you would agree that Venus has an incredibly carbon-rich atmosphere, would you not? Carbon and sulfur are the two primary components of the Venusian atmosphere. Would you not agree?
Which they have no real explanation for because carbon comes from life.
No, it doesn't just come from life at all. That's not true. We have chalk cliffs all over the planet that we can observe that are extremely carbon-rich. The point that I was about to make was that the reason why we don't have such a carbon-dense atmosphere like Venus is because much of that carbon got locked up in things like chalk cliffs, like the White Cliffs of Dover that you can see in England. Those have huge, massive quantities of carbon in them that would have otherwise been released into the open air. So there's absolutely instances where elements that otherwise would have bled off into space found ways to be able to form compounds like chalk.
No, because carbon has an unstable electron bond.
Carbon-12
I forget
doesn't.
what it's called.
Some types of carbon do.
No, carbon-12 doesn't, but it's formulated in the atmosphere by cosmic rays. You're splitting hairs here, and you're still not answering my question.
I'm not, though, because I'm directly addressing what you were saying. You were talking about how helium could bleed off of the atmosphere, and I'm giving you examples of how light elements can
You know
find
what, though?
themselves trapped in areas.
It did
that
sound
prevent
like a
them.
real Aiden answer when I feel like it could have been simplified.
No,
I'll say
because
that, Aiden.
it requires these are not simple topics, Steve.
Yeah.
It requires
These are
a
not
period
topics that
and maybe
require a
comment in the
one-sentence
breath.
answer. These
I
are
will
very
admit, I may have
complex things.
misunderstood the question a little bit.
These are things that don't have a legitimate answer yet, Aiden. I think you know it as well as I do, and you're playing it off like you know what the answer is.
No,
There's a
I'm
reason
saying
I'm
we have
asking
the
these
most
questions.
data. There's a reason why that is the answer that we have, the data that we have. It's the most likely answer. That's not to say it is the definitive answer. I've said it at the very beginning of this stream. Science is not in the business of prescribing reality to things. It is in the business of describing the reality of things. There's two very different things in those two processes. So when I say that this is the information that we have the most data for, it's because science isn't around to prove things. It's there to demonstrate whether something is consistent beyond reasonable doubt.
Remember that.
Well, I'm telling you
Remember.
this, that if the Earth formed from a nebula, right, and gold has always been gold, there's no reason for gold to be close to the surface. It should have been pulled into the source of gravity, right? Anything heavier than the elements surrounding it should have been pulled into the
The
source of
vast
gravity.
majority
due
of
to-
gold is in the mantle.
Yeah, and uranium is closer to the Earth's core. So what you were saying, I would actually agree with what you were saying, and that is like because it was molten, you can find elements that are the heaviest, like uranium and super heavy elements, closer to the Earth's core than being on the surface. So that's why
Yeah,
I
like
said I kind of
there's a
misheard your
reason
question.
why gold and tin and uranium, like there's a reason why these elements are rare, Dustin. And it's
Okay,
because
can
not
I-
a lot of it survived on a
Dustin,
surface
may
level
I-
or where a place that humans could access. Go ahead.
Achilles, you have the floor.
Let me remove the AFK. I just go back. So I want to ask one question, and whoever of the two can give me the shorter answer, because we have another show in 20 minutes.
Do we?
Yes, Larry.
I thought his show started at 6.
Oh, you are right. Oh my God. Sorry. Okay. Yes. Still, I want the short answer because I want to take you somewhere by the answer that you
I
give
feel
me.
like you're going to get a shorter answer from Atheist Junior, to be honest with you.
That's an outrage.
I'm sorry,
outrage.
Aiden, but a fact is a fact.
That's
and
the most scandalous thing I've heard all day,
Look,
Steven. You were
I
canned
rarely give any credit at all to Atheist Junior. You know that about me, but I have to say, I feel like we'll probably get a more direct answer from him on this one.
Well, I think you should say 3 Hail Marys for that, Steven, because that's scandalous.
I'm not even Catholic. That's so odd.
That's why you should say it.
Okay. Yep.
He might turn us Catholics.
That's right. Wouldn't that be funny if an atheist turned you Catholic? Wouldn't that be
All right.
something?
Heart, ask your question, and then Atheist Junior, you can answer it.
So I want somebody to give me a short answer on how do we have the elements? Where do they come from?
2 things: stellar nuclear synthesis and supernovae.
Why, Atheist Junior, I can't help but notice that your voice changed. You sound awfully Canadian.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Atheist Junior.
Well,
Atheist,
okay.
go ahead.
Okay, we
so
got a short answer.
You can get elements up to iron by fusing in the cores of stars. Everything past that would have to be formed at the end of the lives of those stars in supernova explosions.
Okay, good. So combining your 2 answers, I am satisfied. This is the answer I was looking for. So I want one of the two to describe to me how stars are formed.
One of the two, but not Aiden.
Form. Sorry, how stars form.
Dustin,
Aiden, if you have a short answer, Aiden, you can answer.
I gave a short answer. I literally gave a 1-sentence answer.
We gotta give him credit. He did, right? Okay, so how do stars form? What is the process that leads to a star forming?
Nebulae.
Well, you have what's called stellar nurseries, I think they are, and they're big, gigantic clouds of dust. And they basically, the effect of gravity draws gas and dust closer and closer to itself, and eventually it'll collapse under its own gravitational attraction, and that's the first step to forming a star. It's a lot more complex than that, but that's sort of the short answer.
Okay, it is though a summary, and it is scientific. So yes, thank you. We can go much deeper in the. But the question now comes: is it just dust, nothing else? Because a star needs
gas and dust.
Yeah, what does that gas contain?
Hydrogen, helium, and in some instances a bit of lithium.
So do you understand the chicken and egg problem? Which one of the two?
Yeah, but
which
the
one of the
chicken
two came first? Okay, but
chicken.
in your but in the question that I asked, which one of the two came first? Did the elements exist, so the first stars were formed, or the stars got formed without the elements and then through fusion created the elements?
Well,
See,
hydrogen
the
is
convenient
created.
thing about the elements he listed is those are some of the very first elements that formed after the Big Bang. So the answer would be the elements, for me at least.
Okay.
Agreed.
But I actually enjoyed your answer about the chicken, because that's what I believe too. God made the chicken. He didn't make an egg.
So wait,
Were all the elements
what was the
contained in that
engine?
singularity?
What was that?
Were all the elements compared in the singularity? Do you believe in the singularity theory, or Atheist Junior?
Well, I mean, a singularity is just a mathematical concept, but I mean, I accept the idea of it in the context of a Big Bang theory. Yeah.
Now that we have exposed the little problem that exists in the theory,
What problem?
The chicken and egg problem.
That's not a problem, because we just
it
explained
is.
how the Big Bang already has
It is
hydrogen, helium, and
because
lithium.
hydrogen by its own cannot create a whole star. It has a lot of other elements in it.
Right, like
But
helium and
What
lithium.
was the engine? Hold
like
on.
helium and lithium
Aiden,
that we
Aiden.
mentioned.
Wait a minute.
But what was
Dustin,
the engine that? Hold on. Okay.
All right, go.
What was the engine that collapsed?
Gravity.
What was the engine that collapsed all the hydrogen? Are you saying that there was just this great big old spot of gravity out in the middle of nowhere that just started?
Gravity is everywhere.
What was?
In space.
It's everywhere. It exists.
But it would have to be concentrated in order. But it would have to be concentrated in order to bring together enough hydrogen to spark off an atomic reaction for an atomic fire, thereby creating a sun, correct? Well, because there has to be enough atomic weight for the reaction to take place, correct?
Has to be
so what was it? But where?
Yeah,
how?
But where?
Because it's a solar. It's a
not because
nebula,
where and how.
Giant collection of gas and dust.
What I think is ironic is you guys pointed to the Big Bang as a safety device, but I don't think you guys want to get into that conversation, because the Big Bang opens you up to so many more flaws.
Where and how did the hydrogen get gathered together? How did that happen? The first stars.
It's an uneven distribution.
How did they get gathered
together? That's how. It's an uneven distribution of
that. Doesn't make sense.
We can observe in the universe around us that the universe does not have matter evenly distributed through it, though, Dustin. That's something that we can observe in the universe around us. That doesn't has been no, but hold on.
That doesn't account.
That is true.
That doesn't
amount
account.
of matter and energy that exists within this universe is not evenly distributed. There are super voids that exist within our universe where there is little to no matter or energy concentrated within that area whatsoever.
All right, let him finish his
You're avoiding the question of gravity. What was it that created that gravity? Where was that mass?
Gravity is.
How do you get all that hydrogen in one spot? You can't explain it.
Mass. It requires a mass.
It requires a mass. If you're having a big bang and everything's being blown apart, how do you get a mass that's big enough to collect all that hydrogen in the first place? It doesn't exist.
Gravitational.
It's all gas.
Can I
it's all gas. It's all gas, as you said, Dustin. It's all gas, and it's very, very stinky.
Hold on,
it's actually very hot.
Hold on, everyone.
It could be hot too, but sure stinky.
Yeah, can I attempt to
I'm
answer this?
waiting. Come on, atheist. But
Okay,
don't
so-
change the
Wait.
subject.
All right,
Answer
well,
the
let
question.
him talk for Jiminy Cricket.
Okay, I think you're asking where did the gravity come from, and the answer to that would be the curvature of space-time. And secondly, you asked, where did all this collection of hydrogen come from? And like I think Aiden gave a good answer to that. It's just you have the expansion of the universe, and it's not an even distribution of all of the elements and molecules and dust particles. So they're going to be, distributed in higher concentrations in some than others, and like
You
I was saying,
flowed
those are called
already,
stellar-
Mr.
You
Mr.
said
Atheist.
curvature of
Mercury?
space-time, and that reminds me of like an episode of Doctor Who. It's so
Do you disagree with
scientific.
Einstein, or could you?
No.
disprove
What?
him?
What?
No, I would think
but
Einstein disagrees with that.
Yeah, but Einstein.
Go ahead, Hart.
Einstein
talks
disagrees
about-
that the curvature of
muted?
space-time causes gravity.
Am I muted? No, I'm not muted.
Something has to bend
All right,
the
guys,
space first.
let Hart
Exactly. It requires a star. Hello, a star must be
Wait.
there, and it
The star
curves.
at the
You have to
Earth
have
curves.
something that bends the
The
No, it
space.
doesn't.
space-time.
Yeah, you have.
The thing is, how did the star
Absolutely, you
create
need
itself?
mass.
All right, there is no curvature without something with a strong mass to curve.
You need a
Okay,
mass.
so-
You absolutely need a mass.
What do you mean that you need something with a curvature in order to do that? Every single
No,
particulate
not
of
with the
matter
curvature, not
curves
with the curvature.
space-time.
Anything
Every
that has
single
any
particulate
mass
of
at all.
matter.
Yes, but we are
curves
talking about
space-time.
yes, but you brought this up when we're talking about star formation and how Dustin asked, how did all the gas cloud get together? And you said, oh, gravity. And he said, what brought it together? What mass was there to
Well,
pull
the universe
stuff
itself
together?
was smaller at that point in time.
So the universe
See,
starts
you're
creating
so
any
arrogant.
sense.
The way that you,
The
the way that you
universe create
constantly go about this,
pockets
going,
of
"Oh,
gravity."
that must be it." It's just, it's
No,
so
wait a
arrogant.
minute. No, wait
It
a
comes
minute. You're
across
just
as
you're
incredibly
you're
arrogant.
trying to avoid the obviousness of the problem here. What Einstein said is that when there is a star, it curves the space
Anything
and time
curves space-time.
around it. So if
Anything.
that star didn't exist there, poop, it disappears.
You're not giving the full theory though. You're being very selective with how you're describing
I
his
have to-
theory
I have to
because it doesn't
respond.
just require a star. It literally
I
is
have to
any mass
respond to what
whatsoever.
you said. No,
Does
no,
a
he didn't
photon
say-
does a photon curve
A
space
photon
time?
doesn't have mass.
A photon.
Anything with mass.
Okay, stop interrupting and let him finish.
You did
Come
say
on,
Waiting.
man.
You did say
Go ahead,
anything.
Achilles.
You did say anything curves space.
I said anything with mass curves space-time.
So
I
that's
don't
what
know
Dustin
why we're
said.
even giving this credit, right? We can't get past the origin of the Big Bang. Okay, so the universe is just
ridiculous
sitting
question.
there, it's smoking a cigarette, it's watching reruns of How I Met Your Mother, and then poof, rapid expansion of the
kind of
universe.
like
What
is that
caused
kind of
it?
like what God was doing before
What
he created all
caused
the universe?
the
Was he
rapid
watching
expansion of the
reruns?
universe? No,
Was he
there was a
watching
purpose.
reruns on it before then?
No,
Oh, there was
with
a
an
purpose.
intelligent designer, there is a purpose,
Oh,
and
what was that purpose?
a chart to go by.
The reason why you're here right now.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
The
really
answer is
strange.
dark
The gift
energy,
of life.
Just so you know, if you care.
Oh, the answer to why the sudden rapid expansion of the universe happened
Yeah.
is dark energy.
The answer to why does the universe expand?
Well,
is yes,
dark energy came in to answer all these questions that are unanswerable.
it
Of
literally
the accretion
did. It was
disk.
just a
That's-
placeholder.
you know
And
what?
solved-
That's-
and
it's
arrived
funny that
and
you
solved
say that.
everything. And solved everything.
It's funny
So
how
wait
you
a
say
minute,
that.
hold
It's
up.
kind of
My
like how
question is-
Christians in the 80s said that dinosaur fossils were just God testing our faith. You know, it's kind of
No,
like
no,
that.
okay.
How you get more
If it's
information,
if it's
and then you
dark
have to
energy,
come up with
if
things
it's
to
dark
fill in.
energy, why didn't this dark energy cause the rapid expansion of the universe before that period of time?
What do you mean before
Why
that
didn't
period
it
of
cause the
time?
collapse?
Yeah,
is
what do
a
you mean?
better
What was there
question.
before time?
Oh, so you guys are some of the atheists that believe that the Big Bang is the creation of the universe? Because most scientific communities now believe that the Big Bang is just the rapid expansion of the universe, but that the universe is possibly even eternal.
I mean, yeah, before
Yeah,
there was
these are
any
very
space,
difficult questions to answer, and
Before
I
there
just
was
love
any
I like
space,
that
there was
people
no
scoff
time.
at, like, you don't know the answer to like the most difficult question to possibly answer in human existence. You an idiot.
What a stupid! I know. What a,
Well,
what a moron.
ask me, atheist. Ask me
Well,
the same
oh,
question.
I
I
already
can
know
give you
what you're
answers
gonna say.
because
And
I
I
know
have-
that's
and
the
I have-
beautiful part.
And you have
know?
no data
Except this doesn't
whatsoever to back it
explain
up.
anything,
That's
though.
an equally beautiful part.
I want to
Well, I
say
don't
something.
know. I don't know if what you count as data, but I can think
you
of
have a
at least.
prescription. You have a prescription of what reality is that
Okay,
doesn't actually.
Hey
bear
guys,
out in
did that
scientific
dark
data.
matter? Did that dark energy have like a time release or something? when it was
Well,
when
it
it
couldn't
was
have had a
created
time release
itself,
because
was it
there
on
wasn't
time
any
release?
space and there wasn't any time.
That's right.
Aiden,
because
Aiden,
you guys
Aiden.
have different perspectives from the rest of the
where in
scientific
Genesis does
community.
it
Hey, Steven.
answer what causes expansion, cosmic expansion? Where does it mention that in Genesis?
That God stretched out
God
the
created
heavens.
the heavens and the earth.
The
yeah.
heavens.
Stretching out like goats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Well, no. When he
Yeah.
says the
Aiden.
heavens, he really means the firmament, which Christians
So
don't actually think exists anymore.
let me please respond.
Aiden.
The firmament
Hold,
was
First
very
hold
off,
on.
thoroughly
Hart
disproven.
has the floor.
Dustin, give me a second, brother. First off,
Yes, sir.
what Aiden just shot out there, I have refuted it in one of my recent videos, and that is that Christians were saying that God wants to mess with our heads, and that's why we have fossils.
That was stated.
That video is titled "The Lying Religion," and it has to do with your religion. It is a straw man because because the fact that some Christians said that doesn't mean that Christianity believes that.
No, the point that I was trying to make, though, the point that I was trying
Christianity believes in a flood that put everything upside down, and then they came along and said, "Oh, look, they all evolved from one another." And
I wonder how many babies
we
died in
have
that flood.
we have like clams at the bottom, and they're saying that this is what evolved first. But according to our theory, they were at the bottom already when the flood happened. So
not all Christians believe in a literal flood,
Yeah,
though.
and
You were
no,
just saying
no,
earlier
I don't
that,
care.
well, that's
I don't
not all
care.
of Christianity.
I don't care. Hey,
Yeah, so
I
you're
don't- I
being
don't-
blatantly
listen, Aiden,
favoristic
listen,
towards
listen.
your point of view. You're not
Listen.
equally applying your own viewpoints
I don't
of
care what
reality.
some Christians say. I call Christianic something that exists in the Bible. Okay, so that's what exists
An
in the
allegory
Bible.
that exists in the Bible,
And
right.
I don't care if you think it's an allegory.
Some
Don't
book
take me
says a thing.
don't take me in different places, because I was about to explain to you something.
You were the one that brought up the flood. You brought up the
Let him
flood.
finish. Let him finish.
Control, Aiden.
I was about
Control
to
yourself.
Wait, I just
please.
kicked Aiden. He can maybe come back, and I might let him back on. It just depends on how aggressive he gets. Now, Atheist Junior, you asked a question, something about how many babies drowned in that flood. Does that mean now you're conceding that the flood was a real event? Or were you just being a mocker? Because if you were just being a mocker, I'll kick you now. But if you were asking a real question, we can have the dialogue. Which is it?
I mean, I don't think that me asking that as a question means I have to admit it happened. I think that's a false dichotomy. Because you could do something called an internal critique.
I think that's a fair question.
Was it a rhetorical question, or was it a rhetorical question, or are you seeking a genuine answer?
No, I'll admit that it
Were
was
you
made,
asking that?
It was said in a mocking way, but I mean, if you want to talk about it,
the mockery will not be tolerated.
Don't do that in a Christian channel.
And it is called.
This is your warning, buddy. Don't mock.
That fallacy is called red herring. You're throwing something else, so we can go after that, because you cannot refute what we were just talking about. But the thing is,
I want to address something.
What thing was thrown out?
Yeah, Dustin, but because of Aiden's mouth, that doesn't stop. Not that it said something bad, but it doesn't stop. I wasn't allowed to say what I wanted to say. I heard like 10 minutes ago somebody saying that sorry, atheist, I think it was, sorry for not having the answer to the most difficult question in mankind. And I want to accept that and say yes, but you can do something else. You can study. So if you go back to 300 years before Christ, you will find a man called Parmenides, a philosopher. And he talked about the Big Bang. Would you like me to tell you how the Big Bang is refuted from 300 BC and leave my Bible aside and not even touch it? If not, you can go ahead and say that it's a big question. But for me, it's not, because I live in 2023, which is already 1700 years after Parmenides. Want me to go ahead?
That's a bit of a dishonest way to ask the question. Do you want me to explain how this guy refuted the Big Bang? Like, I'm not going to concede that
Yeah,
guy
it's
refuted
simple.
it.
Do
But if you
you
want
want me to
simple-
explain
it's
how your
simple
worldview is
stuff.
wrong?
Well, it's simple stuff, guys. It's called philosophy, and if you don't want to study it, it's okay. Philosophy
That's not philosophy. That's
has no
rhetoric.
problem with your Parmenides was the first idealist philosopher, and that's his title. Now, if you want to take his title off him, that's your right. Call him whatever you want, but that's what the books call him. And
Can I call him Daddy?
what I've been taught about him is that he asked himself some simple questions, and I can ask them to you if you are not afraid.
I
One
think
of
he
them
is
is.
afraid.
Yep.
He is afraid. He just
Aiden.
left.
Yep.
No, I kicked
Aiden,
him because
I'm
Aiden,
here though.
stupid.
I'm
I
here to
kicked him
face the
because
fire.
he made the
Aiden.
stupid daddy comment.
I didn't hear it. I
Aiden.
didn't even hear it.
He could call
I
him
need to
father.
address something with you.
Okay, go ahead, Dustin.
Lupin. Okay. Are you making
Noted. They didn't want to go for it. Let's continue.
I'm
Dustin.
right
Are you-
here. I'm right here. What are you talking about?
Oh, you
Are
should say to
you-
Dustin,
are you
wait, I want
making-
to answer.
What?
You could say to Dustin, wait, I want to answer, and I want to see where Achilles is taking this to.
I wanted to see what Dustin had to say, and then I was going to
I'm
get
sure
back
you
to you.
did.
Oh
I'm
my
sure you
gosh.
did.
You're so
Go ahead, Dustin.
arrogant, Achilles.
All right, what's up,
Yeah.
Dustin?
You're so arrogant.
I'm not arrogant, man.
so-
I read books. I do science. I do
Yeah, and that
mathematics.
fans the flames of your arrogance.
And I can't.
Dustin,
I can't
let
take
Dustin-
people. I can't take people who consider themselves the scientific side, and they haven't spent 8,000 euros to buy a telescope that I did. So I am
So
the
I didn't meet the
scientific.
specific parameters of what you
I am
consider
the scientific side.
I don't know how I'm going to sleep at night.
Well,
didn't
if you
meet
don't,
a
if you don't do
definition of what is
mathematics, if you don't
scientific,
do
oh no.
mathematics, if you don't read books, if you don't do
I do
your
read
astronomy,
books. I've,
then
I've,
I am
I've
the
talked
scientist.
to you. I've
I am
been
the
spending
scientist.
the last how long talking about scientific topics with you all night, Achilles, and now you're going to honestly look me in the face and say that I'm running away from you while you're bringing up science. Are you really going to try to go down that road with me right
Hold
now
on.
rhetorically?
Dustin has wanted to get in for a while. Dustin,
I know. I was trying to let him, and then Achilles is trying to act like I'm a coward.
Aiden, did I just blame you?
No, but Achilles did.
Well, I didn't. All I said is I'm going to let Dustin go.
Aiden, you made the accusation that there's a prescription for reality. Are you making that a flat accusation, or am I exempt from that accusation?
I'm saying that the Bible makes a prescription upon reality.
That's not what you said. That's not. I listened very closely to what you